Hello and welcome to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. I'm Amanda Butland, your host and intuitive life coach. All right, well, welcome to another episode of the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. Today, my guest is Tiffany Grosso. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. And, for our listeners, if you recall, Tiffany was on a prior episode, but here she is solo today to chat about her coaching journey.
Aw, thank you so much.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you back, and I'm excited to talk about sort of your coaching journey. But before we get started, I would
Yeah,
love to start with my little icebreaker question that I ask all
sure.
my guests. Can you share with us what hobby or activity brings you the most joy and why?
Ooh, okay. So I am a variety-driven person, so I'll just be honest that a lot of things bring me joy, and I'm really blessed in that way. I find joy in a lot of things, but I think the thing I've really been into lately is something called awe walks. I don't remember where I heard that term, but it's going out on a walk and allowing yourself to like be in awe, to look around, take everything in. And I have a Icelandic sheepdog, so I take him on a lot of walks. And I just love being out there in nature and really putting out that intention to kind of look at the world, whether it's like the trees or the formation of the clouds. And it really does, when you allow yourself to be awed by that, it brings, well, at least it brings me joy. It brings me like a sense of peace. And it's been one of my favorite things to do lately. So I'll choose that.
Wow, I love that. I have not heard of awe walks, but that sounds amazing. I actually do oftentimes, not necessarily on walks, but just being outside, and sometimes it's while I'm driving, just marveling at how um, there's so much beauty in the world, right? Like sometimes, like
Yes.
the other day, I was like driving home from work, and um, it's still green here because it's still, we still have rain. So it hasn't ever, all the grass hasn't died. Not all the hills are brown right now, brown yet. It's, they're still green. And just the hue of the green, it was so brilliantly like bright green
Yeah.
and just amazing. I'm like, wow, it's so amazing that nature can even create this like level of like bright greenness, but just so beautiful because you think of like colors like that and it's like so intense that it's like you're used to seeing that on like a movie screen or something, but to be able to see that live in nature is just amazing.
It's so true. And like you hit the nail on the head, Amanda. Like that's it, right? Like to really just allow yourself to marvel about nature, right? There's just something about it, and it just feels really good. I can't remember where I learned the term awe walk, but I love it. I've adopted it. So
Yeah.
you can too.
Love it. Awesome. All right. So I would love to hear sort of your coaching journey because I know you're a coach and we like to talk about coaching here. Would you mind sharing us with us your coaching journey, sort of how you ended up as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me think where to start. Um, I think I have to start a little further back. So when I was around, because this was really the start of my journey, when I was around 19 or 20 years old, I had my first panic attack. And at the time, I did not know what that was. I knew it felt really wrong. I remember it feeling like so scary and disorienting, and I had no language for what I was experiencing. And I actually went to the hospital, and it was a nurse there that told me that I was having a panic attack. And through that, I found my way to therapy. And that's really where my healing journey began. And therapy gave me tools to sort of understand myself on a deeper level, make sense of my emotions. And then as I was learning and growing and healing through that space, I became really drawn to just being this consistent seeker of personal development, spirituality. It's just what I loved doing. And I just found myself exploring other things. And when I came across the world of coaching, I think something really clicked. For me, what really drew me into coaching was it's like forward momentum, right? Therapy really helped me, and therapy's wonderful, coaching's wonderful, they're all wonderful, whatever works for you. Therapy helped me process and understand my past, and coaching really offered me a way to take that understanding and like move it towards who I wanted to become. And I just loved how coaching focused on growth, transformation, breaking through limiting patterns, like not staying stuck in a story. And I began working with coaches myself and really kind of diving deep into personal development. And I really feel like they were the ones that helped what I learned about myself and actually kind of like apply it in the world. Yeah, so I don't know if that helps. Is kind of where I started. And then from that path, I knew that I wanted to hold space for people who are ready to move forward. And I trained extensive. Do you want to know about like how I've trained or where I've gone in that route?
I mean, you can share whatever you'd like, actually. I
Sure.
mean, it's all good.
Okay, okay. I didn't want to like over talk, right? So I've trained extensively in coaching. I started off with Tony Robbins training, Robbins Madonna's training in strategic intervention coaching, which is really a model that combines coaching with the principles of psychology and human needs. I've also actually been trained as a mental health counselor as well, and a grief counselor. And I've also spent many years studying under Stacey and Paul Martino under the relationship development model, and was trained as and worked for them as a breakthrough coach there. But I feel like I am constantly upgrading my coaching, and like just bridging different aspects of myself. Like I had said, I'm very into spirituality also. So I've also been trained as like an energy worker, spiritual practices. I'm a Reiki Master. I'm an integrated energy therapist, a channel. And so all of these modalities that I've spent, I would say now over 30 years studying, have all kind of blended together. And so I think that for me, coaching has been a blend of all of these threads: the psychology, the personal development, the energy work. And I've been doing this work now specifically as a coach for probably about 15 years.
Wow. Yeah. I love that you brought sort of, I love that you shared sort of the backstory. So where sort of where you started, because I find that a lot of us who are coaches, right, have been coached, right? We
Yes.
learned about it through having gone through the experience of being coached ourselves, and just having gone through the process and experienced our own transformations, and then really like wanting to give that back to others, right? Like
Totally.
having experienced such a transformation and like really like, wow,
Yeah,
such a big change, and how can I help others experience the same thing? So I love that
totally.
you shared that. And I love, your vast experience and training in different modalities, areas as well, and how that must bring together such a unique perspective and skill set that you bring to your coaching practice.
Hmm,
um, so I would love, maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing, maybe, when um, in your coaching practice, it sounds like you do incorporate a lot of these things.
I do.
Can you maybe share a little bit about sort of like what your coaching practice is all about, sort of who your clients are, and sort of like maybe who you target as your client, ideal client?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you were saying, I really feel like at this point, because I've been sort of traveling the healing arts all of my adult life. So it's just what my soul is drawn to, what I've done for my own healing. And in many different ways, I've worked as a healer. I've been a end of life doula, a birth doula. I talked about being an energy worker, and then found myself moving into the coaching counseling model. So I would say the kind of coaching that I do is deeply integrative, right? I don't really feel like it's a one size fits all. And it's definitely not surface level. I think because of my background in psychology and personal development and energy work, that I hold space for people in a way that allows them to be, it allows it to be deeply healing, emotionally healing, and have that sort of forward momentum quality as well. I think that what I've found in my practice is that one of my strengths or one of my abilities is to be able to hold a wide range of human experience. That nothing is really off the table with me. I'm not afraid of big feelings or deep truths. And I find that when people come for coaching, even though they might be, seeking to, like I said, break patterns, move forward, we will often find that there are things that they are, in resistance to, right? Or blocked, that's allowing them from moving forward. And when we really can dig in deep, we can uncover some big stuff there. But whether someone is navigating grief or shame or fear or uncertainty, that I can really meet them where they are. And I have learned that people, from doing this work this long, that transformation really happens when people feel truly seen and truly accepted. And I think that I create a space where they can be that, where they can be their true self. Nothing needs to be hidden or censored. I think that I also practice through really a lens of my intuition. I think that I have a high level of intuition and I can sense what's beneath the surface and gently guide people towards truths, their truths, not mine, that they might not even realize that they're uncovering. And so my intuition just allows me to ask the right questions at the right time to help them uncover for themselves what's holding them back, inviting them to sort of step into their greater self-awareness, to their empowerment. I think, again, I would say a lot of people come to me. I've been doing this for a long time. They may come with a big goal. And what we find is that underneath, they may be feeling isolated in some of their emotions, or they may believe that they're the only ones who feel a certain way or experiencing certain resistance or having some sort of block, or what they're carrying is too much. And really helping them to see that they're not alone, to normalize their feelings and fears, and that their desires are really part of a shared human experience. And I find that people are so blown away to even know that, like, I'm not the only one who thinks or feels this way. And when they begin to feel that sense of belonging, the walls of self-judgment start to come down. And at the heart of it comes self-love and self-forgiveness. And then transformation really begins to happen, and they can begin to release the criticism or the blockages that have kept them stuck, that guides them towards a deeper acceptance of like who they are. I think, we've talked about this whole integrative approach that I really draw on, like mind, body, and soul, mind, body, spirit aspects. The training and the strategic intervention helps clients move through practical challenges, but then weaving in this sort of energetic and spiritual work allows them to access deeper levels of their healing and transformation. And I would say after doing this for so many years, when people feel safe enough to explore their edges, that's when profound change unfolds. That's when they can begin to have perspective shifts. That's when they're willing to take risks. That's when they can try on looking at something through a different angle, be willing to set a goal and push through the uncomfortability of that. And really helping people to find their own inner compass. The name of my coaching practice is Compass Rose Coaching, and it's for the direction of your soul. And it's really helping people to find their own inner compass. Like, I am not there to tell them what to do. I am not there to make decisions for them. I am simply there to be a guide to their own wisdom. And we do that in coaching, as you know, Amanda, through asking the right
Mhm.
questions, having them look at something perhaps a different way and try that on and see if it resonates as truth for them, so that they eventually stop seeking outside of themselves to get validation or that somebody
Mhm.
else knows better, but to really start to
Mhm.
understand themselves and trust their own intuition, trust their own wisdom, and see that everything is really within them. And they learn those tools. They learn how to look and self-coach over time too by doing this work together.
Yeah, yeah, I love all of what you just shared. It's just so beautiful to, as you described, sort of like, when people come and they think they might have this particular goal, but really sort of diving in and digging into allowing them, that space where they can really get vulnerable, really understand, dig deep. And like you said, that people don't realize that the things that they're dealing with, they're not the only ones. I think you're right. A lot of people don't realize, like, oh, other
Yeah.
people have the same thing.
Yeah.
They have this voice in their head that's always telling them
Yes.
terrible things.
Yes.
Um,
All of us, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So to be able to like validate that and have them understand that it's not just them, and there are ways to, work through that, and the coaching that you provide, those tools and skills that they learn through that process to be able to, come back to themselves, to really find their true, right, come back to their authentic selves and sort of lose all of those pieces that have sort of stacked on top from, whatever it is, society or
Yeah.
others'
The
expectation.
conditioning. Yeah,
Right.
conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I left another key piece out that where coaching has been so beneficial for myself, and another aspect that I really bring into my coaching is really helping people understand personal responsibility, and that personal responsibility, really isn't about like blaming yourself or carrying the weight of everything, but it's about recognizing that we have the power to
Mhm.
choose how to respond to life, right? So often we all come in with a mindset, we've been conditioned to this mindset of believing that, things are happening to us, right? Or
Mhm.
something might be going wrong for us, or this or that, or we want to project or shift the blame to something outside of ourselves, whether that's
Mhm.
jobs or the government or a partner, or the situation, that we're in, and really learning. And it doesn't mean that we can't have feelings about those things. Absolutely
Mhm.
can. And those are valid, but also learning that when we move into personal responsibility, we're actually putting the power back into within ourself, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
whether that's how we want to choose to work with it, or what we want to choose to do about something that might have happened. So personal responsibility is another big piece.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up because it was funny. This is a coincidence. As I was driving home today, I was listening to "The Missing Piece" by Stacey and Paul Martino, and I think it was chapter 5. And I was just listening to this exact thing about personal responsibility and how it's not self-blame, it's not about anybody's fault or anything like that. It really
Yeah.
is your ability to take action to solve a problem or correct an issue, and not relying and allowing waiting for somebody else to fix it,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand, or they think personal responsibility, think, well, that must mean it's my fault. And you're right, it's so empowering. As I was listening to that chapter, it just made me think, wow, how empowering is it if you were to take personal responsibility to, solve whatever it is that's come up. So I love that you
Absolutely.
shared that, because that was like right exactly what I was
That's so
listening to
funny.
today.
I love that. Yeah, it's perfect. Synchronicity. I love that so much. And yeah, I trained with them so for many years. And and Tony Robbins has the same model as well in his training, of really teaching about that. And really just also recognizing that personal responsibility doesn't mean you have to go it alone just because you're taking personal responsibility. Um, it's within ourselves and our perspective to choose, but that we don't have to go through this life alone, believing that everything is just on us, right? We can
Mm.
be seeking help or other methods, things that work for us, into what it is that we desire to shift or change in our life.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you bring that up about not having to do it alone. Because I think oftentimes people think like, well, I don't want to ask for help. I feel
Yeah,
maybe uncomfortable about asking for help.
yeah,
But as a as social people, as a social animal, right? We need help from others,
yeah. We
and
need each
it's
other.
just, there's at some point in history, there's been something that, people think it's like it's a sign of weakness to ask for help.
Yes, yeah,
And so it's sort of like overcoming that conditioning of it's not a bad thing. People do better in numbers, right?
yeah,
The sort of the mastermind, right? It's sort of like
yeah.
when you bring multiple minds together, you're always going to come up with a better solution than,
100%.
right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're right. It is the conditioning. We've been so conditioned, especially, the masculine has really been conditioned, but the feminine as well, that we have to go through everything alone and on our own. And I think this kind of harkens back to what I was saying before in my work. And you seem to have had the same experience, that oftentimes people think too, not only that they have to manage it alone, but that they're the only ones thinking or feeling this way. So how could I even ask for help? I'll look like a freak. I'll look like a weirdo. Like, why can't I, who else thinks like this? But when they find that, wow, somebody else thinks this way, or you've had, so many hundreds of clients who have felt that way and thought the same exact thing. And then you start to feel like this weight lift, like maybe I'm not so kooky. Maybe I'm not, there's not something wrong with me. Maybe this is part of like normal human conditioning. And I just have to learn to see it differently. And we're that, that sense of maybe self-compassion or self-forgiveness starts to kind of loosen all those tight spots where we might have felt like we had to be so rigid. So
Yeah, yeah, I love that you mentioned that sort of that rigidity, right? Because I think, one of the things that I hear from clients a lot is like, I want to be more resilient,
yeah,
right? It's almost like a goal that's like a lot of people have, like, how do I become more resilient? And it is that sort of that rigidity of, just it is a lot of the conditioning,
yeah,
right? That causes that. So how do they sort of then break those pieces off, come back into their sort of their authentic selves,
yeah,
and create or just find that resilience that really is in there. Everybody has it.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
and what's really blocking you from that, right? Like, what
Mhm,
is it that's
mhm,
blocking you? Is it a belief that you have to be perfect? Is it a belief that,
mm.
if you quit this job, you're a failure? Is it a belief, we have all these beliefs that
Yeah.
we've kind of grown up with, these
Mhm.
things that block us from what we truly desire. And so it's really kind of finding, well, what is it that's keeping me rigid, right? What is it that I'm telling myself or believing about a situation or myself that's not allowing me to actually be, more flexible or
Mhm.
resilient, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I love that sort of that detective work of finding out
yeah,
what those blocks are,
yeah.
because that, absolutely is there are all sorts of blocks out there that
Yes,
can exist, and it's a little detective work getting to
that's
figure out
it.
what those are.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's one of the parts I love.
Oh, well, this has been such a great conversation. And we've covered so much. I do want to start to wrap up, but before we
Yeah.
end, I would love to, find out if you have a message you'd like to share with our audience today. Anything that you'd like to share with put out there into the world today.
Yes, I think it's like what we were just talking about. Like, if you're someone who's like considering coaching, I'd say the first thing is to give yourself permission that you don't have to do it all alone. And that so many of us carry this idea that we're supposed to figure everything out by ourselves, and that asking for support means we're weak or incapable. And it's just not true. And there's incredible strength in recognizing when you are ready for guidance. And I think incredible wisdom in recognizing that you want to, whether it's deepen yourself or further yourself or allow yourself to be supported on your journey. And coaching, it is all yours. It doesn't walk the path for you, but it helps to illuminate the parts of the path that you might not have noticed before, and helps to bring clarity to what might be confusing. And it's really nice to have this guide walking alongside you, reflecting your own wisdom back to you so that you learn to trust yourself and move forward with more confidence. So I just say, if you are feeling a nudge, trust that. And it may take a couple of tries to find someone who you really resonate with, and that's okay too. But keep going. And sometimes the smallest shift in perspective can open the door to the biggest miracle. They say in A Course in Miracles that just a shift in perspective is a miracle. And so if coaching could lead to that for you, imagine the trajectory that your life can shift on. And that's really what I believe about coaching. And I just would like to say that and share that with anybody who feels ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that message. So yes, absolutely. And you're right. Sometimes it takes a while to find the right coach, and that's okay. There's,
Yep.
every coach is different. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It doesn't mean like we throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, oh, I guess it didn't work for me. No,
yeah,
find who works
yeah,
for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Amanda.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again for being on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks.
You too. I love what you do. Thanks.
Thank you. I invite you to subscribe to the Embrace Balance Discover Joy podcast and join our community. If you feel inspired by what you hear, please leave a review and share this podcast with others who might benefit. And remember, it's never too late to embrace balance and discover joy in your life. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes filled with inspiring stories and valuable insights. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.